She never imagined love could be so quiet and still feel so full. With him, everything felt gentle, the kind of love that didn't need loud promises or dramatic gestures. It lived in shared silences, in morning messages that simply said, "Did you eat?" and in the way he remembered small details she herself forgot. She built her days around his presence without realizing it, believing that stability meant permanence. He wasn't perfect, but he felt consistent. And to her, consistency felt like loyalty. She trusted him in ways she had never trusted anyone before. She shared her fears, her insecurities, the parts of her heart she usually kept hidden. In return, he listened. Or at least, she believed he did. Every time he reassured her, every time he said, "I'm not going anywhere," she stitched those words into her future. Their love didn't look dramatic from the outside. No one envied it. No one suspected how deeply she was invested. And that was the beauty of it. It felt private, protected from the world. She thought that meant it was real. At night, she would imagine their future without fear. She pictured growing older with him, believing that love like this didn't disappear, it matured. She didn't question his late replies or sudden silences. She told herself that trust meant not asking too many questions. After all, love wasn't supposed to feel suspicious. Slowly, without noticing, she gave him emotional ownership of her peace. Her happiness began to depend on his tone, his attention, his presence. She didn't realize she was shrinking herself to fit into his world, because it felt like love. What she didn't know was that while she was building a home in his heart, he was already leaving rooms empty. While she believed in the future, he was learning how to detach quietly. And while she slept peacefully believing she was loved, the foundation beneath her was already cracking. She lost him long before she knew she was losing him. The change didn't arrive suddenly. It crept in through silence. His replies became shorter. His voice felt distant, even when he was right there. The warmth she once felt began to fade, replaced by confusion she couldn't explain. She blamed herself first. Maybe she was asking for too much, feeling too deeply. He stopped sharing his thoughts. Conversations turned shallow. When she asked if something was wrong, he smiled and said, "Nothing." And she believed him, because she wanted to. Love had taught her to trust his words more than her instincts. But her nights grew restless. She lay awake replaying conversations, wondering when she started feeling alone while still being with him. She noticed how he guarded his phone, how he avoided eye contact when she spoke about the future. Still, there was no proof, only a growing ache. That was the hardest part. There was no argument, no confession, no closure. Just emotional absence. He was there, but not present. Loving him started to feel like holding onto smoke. One night, she realized she was the only one trying. The only one asking. The only one holding on. And that realization hurt more than any betrayal could. Because it meant she was loving alone. She never confronted him with accusations. She didn't want to sound insecure or desperate. Instead, she stayed quiet, hoping he would return to the person he once was. But silence doesn't heal, it deepens wounds. Eventually, he left. Not with anger or explanation, but with indifference. A simple goodbye. No fight. No tears from him. Just distance. And that was when it hit her. The betrayal wasn't another person. It was the way he emotionally abandoned her while she was still loving him fully. During the day, she functioned. She smiled when needed. She answered questions. She pretended she was fine. But nights were different. Nights were honest. Every night, her pain screamed in the silence. Memories played like echoes she couldn't escape. His voice. His promises. The version of him that no longer existed. She cried quietly, afraid of admitting how broken she felt. She questioned herself endlessly. Was she not enough? Did she love too deeply? She replayed every moment, searching for the point where everything went wrong. But there were no clear answers, only exhaustion. Sleep became a stranger. When she closed her eyes, she saw him leaving again and again. Her heart felt heavy, like it was carrying a grief no one could see. She missed him, not for who he was at the end, but for who she thought he was at the beginning. She learned how painful it is to grieve someone who is still alive. Someone who chose to walk away without looking back. Someone who moved on while she was still healing from words he never explained. Some nights, she wished he had cheated openly. At least then, the pain would have had a name. But emotional abandonment leaves invisible scars. It makes you doubt your worth. Still, she survived each night. Even when it hurt. Even when the pain screamed. Healing didn't come quickly. It came slowly, quietly, in moments she barely noticed. One day, she stopped checking her phone. Another day, she slept without crying. The pain didn't disappear, but it softened. She realized that losing him wasn't the end of her story. It was the end of a chapter where she loved someone more than she loved herself. And that realization changed everything. She began to reclaim the parts of her heart she had given away. She learned that love should feel safe, not confusing. That silence should feel peaceful, not painful. She never got closure from him. But she gave it to herself. She forgave herself for staying too long. For trusting too deeply. For loving sincerely in a world that often doesn't value it. She lost him quietly. No drama. No revenge. Just acceptance. And in that quiet loss, she found strength she never knew she had. Her pain once screamed every night. But now, her silence speaks of healing.